Welcome to episode 41 of Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. And today we're going to be talking about delighting customers. Nobody told me that you have to focus on delighting customers, right? So number 41, we are really cranking these things out. Blaine Birch, my co-host, and this episode, like always, is sponsored by Dry Run. Blaine?
Yes. Thanks, Mike. I'm excited to talk about this topic, excited about the beer I got today, and excited about telling you guys about Dry Run, cash management, financial modeling. We know the world's turned upside down. We see it like this last couple of weeks, especially with investment community. It's turning upside down. Now companies are so focused on runway, on cash flow, all these things that, they might have let slide a little bit. Come and talk with us. We can help you. Or we can line you up with one of our CPA or CFO partners that can help you understand where you're going.
Yeah, fantastic. I tell you what, I think you're excited. You said excited like 17 times during that. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited to do that. Hopefully you didn't say you were excited to spend time with me today.
Of course, that's why I'm excited. The rest is just like sponsorship and beer. No, but I'm excited to be on this week, man. It's going to be fun. What are you drinking?
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, if you haven't been to our podcast before, there's three things we focus on. It's business, of course, and it's beer, and there's a little bit of BS that goes with that. But today, all right, so I found a new one, right? It's by Modern Times Beer, and I thought it was kind of just a cool mosaic type can. It's called Modern Times, but the name of it is a silent opera. And it's kind of a Vienna style lager, but the can drew my attention. Really cool. Where are they out of? They're out of Portland, Oregon, as a matter of fact. So up there with my daughter and granddaughters, and the family live in Tacoma. It's up that way. So here's to Portland. At least they get beer right.
Yeah. Oh man. And Modern Times is a terrific brewery. Their IPAs are almost universally outstanding. Great brewery to pick.
I got to tell you, if you've never been downtown Portland, it is fantastic just for a hangout, the vibe, the atmosphere, the people, the beers. I love it.
That's I'll have to make my way back to Portland. It's been a few years since I've been there, and man, I know it's such a cool place. So today I went right close to home again. Turner Valley, Alberta, which is just south of Calgary, which is south of us. Fahr. Now, this is called the first truly German brewery in Alberta, and it's actually a German. I think his name's like Jochen Fahr, is the brewmaster there. Now, what's really cool about this? So these guys haven't been around that long. Alberta Brewery, they've won a bunch of awards, and this beer, this copper that I'm drinking, won a gold medal in Frankfurt, and I thought that's pretty cool when you win a medal for a German beer in Germany from Southern Alberta. So terrific beer that these guys have brewed.
Hey, I got to tell you what, when you are exporting awards to the home country, that's pretty good.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, good for them. And I don't know if you can get it outside of Alberta yet, but they have some nice beers. Not a lot of my traditional styles that I drink, but it's nice to kind of veer off and try some new things. And it's a great little brewery.
Now, the shape up at the top, is that the shape of the province?
That's the shape of the province. Us in Alberta, we know it well. The little slant up the side is the Rocky Mountains. And that's I guess that's what divides British Columbia from Alberta, is that Rocky Mountain range.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about delighting customers, right? Delighting customers. And I tell you, I want to look at it from a couple of different ways, right? I want to look at it as, okay, I'm a customer too, right? I'm not just a business owner out there. I'm a customer. So I always try to put myself in that shoe first. I'm a customer. Here's the things I like. Yeah. And then I look at it from the business owner hat. Okay, how do I attract guys like me or people that I'm trying to attract? So as a customer, I can't think of too many brands I would be a champion of, but the ones I would be. All right, so I'm gonna tell you what, I'm a brand new fan, and this is gonna sound funny, of two different clothing manufacturers. All right, okay. So to add some context to that, COVID forced me into a wardrobe upgrade or an alternate wardrobe situation.
Okay.
Meaning, I don't know. Maybe my clothes shrunk, or probably not. Probably I got bigger. So I had to go out and find larger clothes, right? Which is kind of a hard thing to do. It's like, well, I don't fit in my other stuff. But I ran across two brands that I don't know if they intentionally tried to get me, meaning understand me as a consumer, because if when I tell you who they are, you're going to say you're not their target customer. But I'm buying most of my clothes at these two places because the clothes are fantastic. And for some reason, they make me feel good about myself. Right?
It's important.
So, all right. So the first one is Lululemon.
Yes.
Right. First of all, they got comfortable clothes and things like that. But
Yeah.
and I'm not wearing the yoga pants and the tight stuff like that because it doesn't look good on, sausage guys like me. But they
I was about to picture you doing yoga, and I thought, no,
that's not going to happen. Yeah,
block
that's
that
not going to. Yeah. But they have a pair of like casual work pants, right? That look like slacks, and they're called ABC something or another, ABC Classic. But the fabric in these things, it's like wearing jeans that are just super awesome and flexible, but they look nice enough that you can wear them anywhere. Yeah. All right. So we've got that. Now with Lulu, I've got a problem with their shirts are a little tighter than I like. Right. And they don't really have a lot of husky kid shirts.
Yeah. Doesn't seem like their brand yet.
Yeah. So I stick with the pants. The second brand will probably surprise you because I think it's a new entrant into men's clothing. Have you ever heard of a company called Madewell? Madewell. All right, so I only know it because Courtney buys clothes there every so often, and it was always just a women's clothing shop. Well, we went this summer, not the summer, the spring already, and now they have a men's clothing line. I said, well, I need some new jeans. I put on a pair of Madewell jeans. Now they call it athletic fit or something like that. So I don't feel bad about myself. So I guess I'm athletic. But these are the absolute best jeans for guys like me. And they look good. They feel great. They're kind of a little stretchy, but not in a weird way. They're kind of in a like, oh my God, these just actually fit. And they're a little looser. They said they call them athletic fit because they're a little bigger in the thighs. Right. Okay. And that might be the whole difference, is just a little bit bigger than the thighs.
Yeah.
But my goodness, I like all their clothes, from their sweatshirts to the t-shirts to the pants. And all of a sudden now I'm a fan because it's not trendy. It's stuff that's classic, very well made. I don't see me growing out of the style, growing too old to be part of it, right? Where in my 50s, there's some clothes that I just can't wear or shouldn't wear, right? Yeah. So those are two brands that I'm now kind of a fan of, and now I probably only buy clothes from these places right now. Yeah. Do you have some?
Very, very interesting, because I've started I've changed a lot over the last number of years and have become very brand loyal, and not for any reason that like the brands I love so much are kind of like those ones, like it's not even that well known, but I trust them because they've done really well for me. And so now I have fewer, less clothes, but very conscious of what I buy. And so for t-shirts and the top, like both of these are icebreaker, and I've become a very big fan of merino, and I like a lot of icebreaker stuff. So for tops, icebreaker for everything. Now, jeans have gone way nerdier than you. So I've got a pair of jeans I love from Arturo, which is an Edmonton jean company. Like, how much more local, a jean company in Edmonton having their stuff made in Quebec, but it's raw denim. And I've discovered raw denim. And so you get to age it and all that. It's not pre-age. It's like when I age it, it tells my story. And I kind of dig that because I love brand stories, right? And I will nerd out even a little more. If this was filmed probably a couple hours later, I would have a jean jacket on, because I just ordered a raw denim jean jacket with Japanese denim from Japan. So I got this raw denim, selvage denim from Tanuki. And it's actually coming from Japan. What blows me away, I ordered that on Sunday and it's going to be in today. And there was like shipping was free, all that stuff like port charges, all that was free, and it's going to be here in like 4 or 5 days. I'm absolutely blown away by it. But it's interesting because it's not just the brands that with clothing, for instance, that I've said, okay, this is really great stuff. But what it's done is it's made me step outside and look for other really interesting small companies that are doing really incredibly good stuff. So I don't want to pay for a name. I want to pay for quality. But the names that I find start to signify that quality, you know, they're going to deliver good stuff, even though they're not well made and they're well known, right?
All right, so you're going to have to explain what raw denim is, because when you say it doesn't have all the other stuff, I'm thinking all the things I just told you I bought has other stuff, right? Like the jeans I bought at Madewell, they don't get stretchy because it's raw denim. So I'm thinking like Sears Roebuck's raw denim that barely bend.
When you get it, it rarely bends. It's not, most of the time it's not even washed, or it's washed once. Selvage denim is like, it's got this really high-end stitching, very careful weave, all this kind of stuff. But the idea is that it's not pre-bleached, it's not pre-aged, they haven't put holes in it. It's like, it could be kind of stiff as a board, but you wear it and then all the creases are like your creases, all that, like, you know, in my pockets, I'm starting to see where my phone is all the time. You can see the outline of my phone starting in my jeans. And so it's like, you know, I didn't want to buy jeans anymore that someone else put a hole in. Like, no, give me those. Yeah, exactly. But give me the, so I've gone way far to the other end. It's like, give me the one that's like, I'll put my story into it. So it's a total nerd thing, to be completely honest.
Wait a second. So did you come up with that? These jeans tell my story, or is that one of their things? Because that's really clever. That's really good.
Oh, I'm not sure if that's one of the lines from anybody, but it probably is, or somebody's probably used it. I don't remember seeing it, but that's sort of their, that's sort of the story of raw denim, as much as like a particular brand, is that you know, you sort of build your own story into your clothes. And I don't know if they actually say that. They probably do somewhere, but it's the idea of it that I think is kind of cool. So I'm waiting to hear the doorbell goes so we can run to get my jacket before a porch pilot or pirate runs and grabs my jacket. Not that happens. I've never actually had that happen, but I'm always a little worried that it's going to happen.
All right. So in the description, I mentioned Apple specifically, right, to this episode, because those Apple people are fanatics. I mean, if you start with one product, you generally end up with a few, right? Yes. Because they integrate so well. I mean, everything talks to each other. What I save on my desktop, I can get on my laptop. You know, are you an Apple guy as well?
Yeah, I've been an Apple guy since 95, I think 96. I haven't owned a different computer since probably 1996 or earlier that hasn't been Apple. I haven't had anything but an Apple phone since the iPhone first came out. I've had, I don't know how many iPads I'm onto, like an iPad Pro, blah, 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 something or other. So once you kind of get sucked in, and it all talks, like you said, it all talks to each other and everything. You know, but I find that it's good quality stuff, right?
All right. So I bought my first Apple computer last year. I was always the weirdo that had the Apple phone, but everything else Windows.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. You know, I used a Surface. I used just an IBM or whatever laptop, HP laptop, whatever the one I was using at the time. Never went to Apple. So I did it. And I tell you what, there's a learning curve, right? It isn't just like, oh, I can use an Apple phone, so maybe I can use a Mac. No, it's not that easy. Especially when a guy like me has spent 15, 20 years or more in the Windows environment, there's a huge shift over. But I'm kind of getting used to it, right? I mean, it's like learning a different language. There's different gestures or different things. But it's the ease between. So here's what happened. I bought the Mac that I'm talking on right now. Then I'm like, oh, well, that was great. So then I bought a MacBook. I'm like, well, that's great too. And then I bought an iPad.
Yep.
So now I've got all this Apple gear on my desk. Just waiting. I'm like going, oh my God, I'm one of them. I'm one of these Apple guys now.
Yeah. And what I find interesting, because it really speaks to brand, is you said you left a Windows environment. And I've never heard anyone on a Mac or on an Apple, say you've left a Mac OS environment. It's like you go to a Mac. It's like you go to a Mac, you go to the Apple world from an environment. And so it's just they built a story and a life around it that doesn't sound as technical.
Okay, so did I come out as a poser or as a newbie or what?
No, it's just it was exactly illustrated the transition, because he said, I got a Mac and I got a this and I got a that, and I came from a Windows environment. So it's just, that's how they built this brand that feels like it's got a brand to it. It's not a thing. And it's interesting because we're talking about delight, and delight is not function. Like it's all things being equal, you need whatever that product is to function. But delight is different. Delight is where you go, oh man, that's cool. Like there's something about it that transcends the function, right? I'll tell you, one of the recent purchases I made for my birthday here was I got an electric skateboard. And I'll tell you that you become like, it's amazing. This thing is unbelievable. But, I'm cruising down a street over here that's freshly paved, and I'm going about 35 kilometers an hour. It tops out close to 50. I don't know what that would be in 15 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour, something like that. So I'm really moving, and it's so smooth that all of a sudden it dawns on me. I'm like, this is what it feels like to be on a hoverboard. Like, so you're just like, this is an unbelievable experience. Like, it's just amazing. But then to take that brand a little bit further, I went cruising by one of the neighbors, and he goes, something about, hey, you need some lights on that thing. And I push a button, and this purple light goes from underneath and glows down. And he just starts laughing. He's like, you got to be kidding me. But that's where it transcends into a little bit of that delight. Like, it's that one extra thing where it's like, oh, they didn't just put a light on. It's just like, and it's this nice purple light. It's really cool.
Okay, but was that experience is because you got acknowledgement from a third party? You have not only a cool, device. Yeah. I made just a recommendation how it could be better, and it was already there. Is it the acknowledgement of a third party that made you delighted?
Well, no, because the lights are cool, and you turn on. I'm kind of like excited, like, oh, that's super cool. And then I had an opportunity to show someone else, which is super fun. So, but that's part of the brand delight. And you know what? That would be a delight for him, right? Because he looks at it, and if he went to buy a skateboard, I doubt he will, but if he went to buy an electric skateboard, the one thing he'll probably remember when I went flying by was, oh yeah, he turned on those lights and it just had this cool light thing. Like that's one of those things that kind of, it transcends a little bit. And you know what, when you're looking at different brands, what kind of signals does a brand give you when it's like, we've delivered this, and then compared to all the other brands, you just go, yeah, but we care, because they do that extra thing that just says we care. Like this jean jacket I ordered is coming. The denim was made on the oldest loom in Japan. That's pretty cool, right? Like, it's just cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah, you're going to tell everybody then, hey, this jacket was made on the oldest loom in Japan.
Oh yeah, and they're just gonna go, just shut up. Like, seriously, I don't want to hear about your jacket anymore. But that's true.
That's part of the brand story, right? That's why it's cool to have those things as part of your brand. In Simon Sinek, I don't know if you've ever listened to some of the stuff he talks about, but one of the statements he makes that kind of sticks in my head is, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Right. So when you say, hey, listen, I don't care if it's the raw denim, if it's the Apple products, if it's, your electronic skateboard, it's not electric skateboard. Yeah. There's a why, right? There's a why they do that. And most small businesses miss that. They go, I do this the best. I'm the best dry cleaner. I'm the best restaurant. I'm the best whatever. But nobody understands why they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the conversion. You got to remember, Apple is a classic example, right? They told us they think different. That's their tagline, think different. So if you want to be like us, you got to think different. It doesn't matter what they build, a computer, an iPod, an iPad, a phone, or whatever. We buy it because we want to think different, just like they do.
Yeah. Yeah. And this way we think at Dry Run, like we were always thinking where, like, look forward. That's what we're all about. Where are you going in the future? And we're here to help businesses survive. Are we software company that has this blah, blah, blah? No, we're helping businesses survive, look forward, grow. That's where our space is. That's where, but then how do we build delight into that? How do we build those things that transcend the technical, right? And bring some life to the brand, bring something that is memorable.
Yeah. So I think that me, I always try to boil something down to simplicity, right? What's the simplest point I can get it? So I understand it and I can tell somebody else about it. And it sounds like if you can find a way where people trust you to solve a problem. Now, let me I combine two things that I talk about a lot of times: trust and solve a problem.
Yeah.
But if I trust you to solve a problem, trust is the evidence of integrity over time, which means the more often you do the things that I expect you to do, the more often I trust you, right? I mean, if your computer broke down, every other week, you wouldn't trust it. Skateboard lights came on, every third time, you wouldn't trust it, right? And I don't know if it's going to come on or not. There's a certain point in time you're not a delighted customer anymore, but I trust you because it's consistent. You deliver exactly what I ask for every time.
Yeah.
The other part is solve a problem. I get you because I have a problem. And with a skateboard, it could be, my problem is I like that as a form of entertainment. I'm looking for a way to enhance, improve, really elevate my experience on a skateboard.
Yeah.
My clothing experience. I like the way it fits, feels for me. I like the story it tells, those type. Those are all things I think help you delight your customer.
Yeah. And I keep saying something about elevating it, but I think it's more than elevating a brand, elevating your product. It's a higher give a shit value. And I'm going to, like, we're sitting here drinking this really good beer, right? And it's amazing because there's all these great craft beer places in Edmonton and summer here now. So we started biking to some of the new ones that have just opened. And it's so interesting because they are so different, but we go into these little breweries and they just have they care. They really care. And they've done something. Not only is their beer good, but they're doing collaborations with other breweries and they're helping each other out. And we actually see that, and the brewers care so much. Then you go into the brewery and you're like, I get it. These guys, their whole style, and this is just really like comfortable pub style. And then these guys over here, it's like super modern, and it's really exacting with their beer. And it's like they give a shit from the top to the bottom. Like they really push every little step, and it says something about themselves. And there's a little district in Edmonton now. I can't remember what they call it, but it's basically almost like a little brewery district where there's, I think, 7 or 8 breweries in this one sort of area.
That's a dangerous neighborhood.
It's a fun neighborhood. We do these little mini pub crawls on our bikes. But what I found out the other day was I drove by a brewery, and I don't even think they say they're a brewery, but they're not. But they are a brewery, but that's not at that location. But there's a place that is technically kind of in this region, this circle. And I didn't know it was there because it was never mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I drove by it and saw it. And I'm like, oh yeah, those guys. That was in my head. Oh yeah, those guys. Like, because they're kind of been around for a while. They're a big kind of operation, and they're faking it. They're not really a microbrewery. They're trying to fake it. They're trying to act like one. They have signs up front that says they are, but they've been, they look almost like such a poser that I drove by. Yeah, whatever. There's no, like, I even forgot that was a thing, let alone there's no chance anyone will go in there if they like this craft brew. And so they're really trying to pose, but they're not. You can tell just even from the outside, it's like they don't give a shit. They don't have these little things. They haven't taken the care. Even a little brewery with no money still cares, right?
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, when the market figures out you're faking it, that's a big deal, right? Yeah. There was a little barn grill in St. Louis, and they had their own, it was the name of the bar. I won't say the name of the bar, but name of the bar Red, right? It was, we'll call it, bar 123 Red, which means gave or implied that they were brewing their own red ale, red Irish ale or something like that, right? That's kind of what they imply.
Yeah.
And, because I known 3 bars, I'm like, oh man, who's brewing it for you? I mean, I said, it tastes pretty good. Who's brewing it for you so I can do it? And the owner took me aside. He goes, yeah, man, Killian's Irish Red lets you mask their label, which means that you can put a Killian's Irish Red down and call it something else. And then I started seeing that trend all around the Midwest, where somebody would bring in, these smaller brands, like at that point in time, Killian's Irish Red, but they would relabel it as their own because it allowed, and it probably increased sales of Killian's, but it didn't give them any brand awareness, right? Didn't give them any brand credibility. But I'm like going, that sounds like I would be trying to fake it, right? Trying to tell the public I'm brewing beer when I'm really not.
And I think people have a very high bullshit meter, right? And so like, especially in like we've talked a little bit about, clothes and skateboards, probably cars, beer, they have a bit of a bullshit meter in there. And I've seen that too. Like I've walked into a bar, but you can tell when you walk into a bar and it's a chain, it's reasonable size, and not necessarily one of the huge ones, but a reasonable size. And then they have their beer on tap, and right away, just like, that's bullshit. But it's always cheaper. Like they have to put it cheap on happy hour. And the ones that are kind of faking it, the only thing they can compete on is price. So they're really not going after that crowd. They're going after, maybe that's their scheme. It's like, let's go after people that just want cheap, crappy beer. And but they kind of want to feel like they're part of this craft thing without actually knowing it, right? I think that's a tough way to make a buck. If you're competing on price, that's a bad place to compete. That's what I always think is the worst place to go.
Yeah, if you don't fit into a group, it stands out really fast, right? Because they got the lingo, they got their little, they know everything about the topic. I don't care if it's beer, I don't care if it's running marathons, I don't care whatever it is. There's a group of people that are the absolute experts, and that's kind of, they form a culture around it. Yeah. Tesla drivers, Apple owners, I mean, all the way down the line. Yeah. And they can figure out real quick if you're not part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And and like we're trying to do that with Dry Run all the time. We're trying to not just build a product, but build a culture and build some momentum and build with our partners. And it's I don't even know if that's like, we don't sit down and go, let's build this way. It's like, no, because we all care. And we care about what we're building. We care about our brand. We want it to be cool. We don't have a lot of, extra pennies to build with, but we still want to do it. We want to do everything we can to be, get that message across. And I still remember I may have told this story once before on a podcast, on our podcast, but I remember being at a conference where we gave away some t-shirts. I think we gave away 3 t-shirts. There was a giant group, and everyone seemed to want these t-shirts. And it's kind of cool. It was a bookkeeping conference. And so what we had is Cash is Queen on the t-shirt, and they loved that. And everybody wanted that. And so we had all these people who really wanted these shirts, which was really a cool experience. It wasn't just trying to give it away. It's like we did a draw, and there's all these people that want it. And then we had buttons, probably still have some around, and stickers. And one of the things I said, before shit gets real, because again, we're all forward looking, right? And we would have people come up and they'd be like, hey, you got any of those, shit gets real stickers or buttons? Yeah, we do. So we'd give them away. And there's one woman that won the t-shirt contest, and we saw on Twitter later that day, and she shared it, and all these people were liking it. And she had on the Dry Run t-shirt. The conference was in Calgary, so she had on a cowboy hat, because one of the places was giving away cowboy hats, just cheap straw ones. And she had her lanyard on, and it was just Dry Run stuff, buttons and stickers all the way down the lanyard. And I think she even had a sticker on her like iPad or her notebook or something. And we're just like, oh, that is so, like, it was just, for us, it was like, just like surreal, but it was so cool to say, like, we like, some of the people that really identified with what we're doing and liked what we were doing. And it's because it wasn't just like, go get some stickers made and throw the logo on. No, we just like, this is what we're trying to get across. And we had all this, trying to get all this life to it. And it started to come through. And so it gives you that, that belief to go, let's keep doing that. Let's make sure we're building story.
Yeah. But it's funny when you talk about customers, right? So I ran a customer success team, and that was everything that touched a customer, from the marketing to attracting, engaging, retaining, those type of things. The retaining is where I focused a lot, right? Because in a software type business, a SaaS subscription based business, what you'll find is that over time, 70% of your revenue comes from recurring business, right? And really only 30% of your new revenue comes from new customers. It kind of flips. In the beginning, it's all is new customers, but as the subscriptions change, so does the amount of money. So I'm like going, I've got to change my focus from attraction to retention, right? Because you don't want to spend all the money up front and let them go out the back.
Yeah.
So I started thinking about, okay, why is that necessary? And I compared the retention stuff to just survival. Have you ever heard of the rule of threes for survival? It's either the law of threes or rule of threes. I mean, somebody will figure it out on the internet and call me out on it. But it basically says, hey, listen, you can last, 3 minutes without air. You can last, 3 hours without warmth. You can last 3 days without water. You can last 3 weeks without food. Right. Yeah. And I'm like going, kind of cool, right? That's just what's going to keep you alive. Is if you don't have those, that's kind of what happens.
Yeah.
So, I'm like going, there's got to be a way to translate that thought, that retention is part of our survival. So I created this customer service philosophy that I called Aura, like AURA, which is, you want your customers to have an aura, right? Which means we want to delight them where they glow, right? Yeah. They're part of us. But Aura to me was a combination of the laws of three, but it also gave instructions to my team on how to respond to a customer. Mm-hmm. So, and it went from a person has a complaint or an issue or a question, doesn't matter. A person contacts us, a customer. Mm-hmm. So the first A was acknowledge. And I want you to acknowledge within hours, not days, hours, which means if we rolled over to the next day, we failed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you can't solve the problem, say, hey, listen, I got it. No problem. Let me get to work on this. I'm looking into it. Mm-hmm. Somehow let them know that you saw it, because too many businesses just bypass that. And you don't even know. I send an email out 3 weeks later, I might hear from somebody. So I'm like going, I'm going to acknowledge in hours, right? Combining the other philosophy. The U was update. And I want to update in days, not weeks, right? So if I didn't update you before a week hit, like, hey, I didn't get this problem resolved, don't have the answer that you want, I'm still working on it, whatever. So I want to update you in days, not weeks. Mm-hmm. If we got to 1 week had passed and I haven't updated, we failed. Yeah. Yeah. R was resolve. I wanted to resolve in weeks, not months. Yeah. So if I got to a month and I didn't have the problem solved, I failed. And then approach was the last one. Approach, meaning I wanted to touch you in months, not quarters. Yeah. Meaning every month I should be at least touching you somehow as me to you. Hey, thanks, or here's our newsletter, here's what you can expect, or did you know, any type of thing like that. But what I'm doing is setting a cadence on how we interact with the customer. And it really changed. I saw retention rates change just from responding on a cadence that could be predicted.
Yeah. I'm sort of memorizing your ones, because I talked with the team about that, because it's something we've found is that, we always want to respond like basically within minutes, hours, like, and it's just like you said, it's a response, say, hey, we heard, we're going to look into it. we found that the customers, especially like ones that are having trouble with something, might be angry. Their anger just goes down to almost nothing. If you just acknowledge it, just say, yeah, got it. We're on it. That's it.
Yep.
And then you take that time to, but I like the idea of the use of like building in a cadence, but it's basically also building in a deadline. So you have responsibility to stay on it and get through the process, right?
Yeah, everybody kind of got it because the focus wasn't on, even though it held you accountable on the customer success team, the focus was on the customer.
Yeah.
You know, every deadline was to help them, right? To create an aura around them. So I was really proud of that, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. You know, one of the things that what you said, it's such a little thing, but I really like it. In dry run, we have these little alert messages that pop up. So it might be like, hey, we're building forecast, importing data, da 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 da. And my co-founder just kind of sneaks in these little messages, and we leave them because they're just great. And they're just these little subtle things, but I kind of appreciate them. And I think, you know what, other people can appreciate it because it brings some life and personality to it. And, you know, it's not like we're creating your forecast. It says we're forecasting your forecast as fast as we can.
Yeah.
That's just one that pops into my mind, but we got all these little ones, even in our admin section that only our staff sees. We got these little messages that pop up, and it's because my co-founder is really clever on these. I couldn't even write them. I didn't even do the, forecast, but I really like them. And I actually think our customers, it's just a subtle thing, but it just brings a little bit of humanity to software. And I think it just lightens it a tiny bit, especially when you're working and you're figuring out what's going on with business. It just lightens it up without being silly, right?
Yeah. Well, what's cool about that, and I've seen it with other software companies that do it while it's loading. They'll say, "Oh, adjusting the flux capacitor," or all these crazy things that they're not doing. But it keeps me entertained. It makes the time go by fast. More importantly, as part of a brand and delighting customers, it humanizes the product.
Yes. Yeah, and I think that's so important.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I think that's really important. That I feel like, oh yeah, these are guys that get me. This product, even though it's just something I can't really touch or feel or talk to, it says things that I get, and I'm entertained. I laugh, I smile, I chuckle, I tell others. Right?
Yeah, and you know what? I bet you a lot of those little messages and things, they're not done by marketing.
No,
they're dev. There's someone back there that's clever that works it in, and it's just like, yeah, that's good. But it feels legit. It's like we were talking before. It's like you can tell when it's faked or when it's engineered by a committee. No, you can like, there's this commercial engineered by committee. This is a great way to like not have like, here's how you flush delight down the toilet. There is a commercial in town, and it's a big chain that claims to really care about craft beer and sell craft beer. And I hear this commercial like once a week. It's always on one of the sports stations in the city that I listen to. And I will guarantee you the copywriter said something about everybody knows you're a craft beer nerd. But the committee changed it, and they said something, and I can't remember the exact line, but it's something along the lines of, everyone will refer to you as a craft beer enthusiast. Like, no one who drinks craft beer has ever been referred to in the history of ever as a craft beer enthusiast, let alone everybody refers to you as a craft beer enthusiast. I'm like, yeah, that was craft nerd or beer nerd, and they changed it. And it sounds so lame that they should have flushed the entire script down the toilet and started over. And so you hear this and immediately think, these guys don't know craft beer. It's like they've taken probably craft beer nerds wouldn't go there anyway, but they've just killed it, right? And it's killed by committee. And I think that's one of the ways you can kill delight is by committee.
Oh, easily, right? It's funny. You were talking about that, like devs putting in just little clever things. there's a little quip that I heard when I was back in the Army. I'm 19 years old. I go to the motor pool, and somebody pulls in one of the Humvees, and little private or specialist gets out and goes, "Hey, blinkers aren't working." And the motor pool sergeant, old guy, he's probably fixed everything from Vietnam War on to 1990 at that point in time, right? Yeah. So 20, 30 years, he goes, "You're probably just low on blinker fluid." And he said it's so dry.
Nice.
I'm like going, man, that's just such a clever like little quip, and I see devs doing that all the time, or even baristas, at Starbucks come up with a little bit of quips, to dig at you a little bit, but they're funny. They're absolutely
funny. Yeah. It's. I think we had a TV delivered a couple of weeks ago, and from a big box store and big brand, they delivered it. And the two delivery guys were, so often they're just by the book. And these guys are just really funny. And they had some fun with us. And I'm like, and kind of played a bit of a joke, my wife stuff. And it just was really, so but you associate with that with the brand, but it's legit. They can't fake that. They hired some good staff, and that staff did a really great job. But I will tell you a little side note here. Which makes me think really highly again of the brand, even though it had nothing to do with the brand or the store. We got this TV in, and I didn't realize how heavy it was. And so they took the box off, and the TV standing there, and I cheaped out because it was $200 to install. Well, install in my mind was lift it and set it on the stand, which is right there. I'm not spending $200 to lift and put on the stand. Turns out you have to take the TV, put a stand onto it, and then lift it on. And I went to lift the TV, and I'm like, this thing's 85 inches heavier than I thought. So I go to lift it, and I'm like, oh crap. So I sprint up the stairs, right? And I run out the front door, and I catch one of the guys, and I said, "I'll buy you guys lunch if you come and help me set this thing up." And guy comes down, we blow it down, put the thing on, lift it up. I'm like, oh man, I should have spent the $200. But I got all that done for about a quarter of the price. And now I love these guys because they were awesome, and they represented the brand really well. But I would never mention which store it was because I don't want these guys to get in trouble, because I know they did probably what they weren't supposed to.
Yeah. We put up a frame TV here in the living room. Have you seen those? They're the real thin ones that look like a piece of art, right? But they hang on the wall, but you can't tell it's a TV. It looks like a frame, but you just hang up on a TV like that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But there's a little box that controls it because it's only so wide. There's a little box. The box generally sits below it on like a mantle or the console or something like that. Yeah. Well, ours is above the fireplace, and we didn't want this little wire hanging down to this box. So we paid for them to come in, cut into the drywall, put a basket inside the drywall, and put all of our electronics, like the Apple TV and oh my God, there's another Apple product I bought. The Apple TV and the box and all these type of things are built into the wall. Yeah. This thing, again, I think it was only 75 inch. I mean, you got 80. I mean, you got a big TV there, Blaine.
hockey playoffs when our TV broke. Like, oh, we're going big.
Speaking of, did you see the Blues come back last night?
I did. Well, I heard. I didn't watch it. I heard they came back, and the Oilers are in. They have a chance to close it out tonight. So I don't think it's gonna be that easy. But anyway, we'll see.
Blues play again tomorrow, but down 3-0 in the second to get their first goal. Down 3-1 with 11 minutes to go. Tie it up in the last minute.
Yep.
4-4.
Nice.
Win it in overtime, 5-4.
Sweet. I only heard that they went overtime. I didn't see it. So yeah.
They would have been eliminated, right? I mean, it's backs against the wall. Right, so they're delighting customers coming with it.
There is a whole thing. That's really interesting, because there is a whole thing about how sports teams, what they do to delight a customer, that's well beyond the game itself. That's changed a lot. Like back in the 80s, you would show up, they would sing the anthem, and then they play, and that is all. And now look at everything else around it, even outside the rink. Like even now, like downtown, that outside the rink, they got space. There's probably full already of people that are going to watch on a giant screen out front of the building. And the team is involved and they've done all this stuff to make it just, again, delight the customer, right?
I've got to tell you, the first year the Vegas Knights were a hockey team, we went to a game, right? Courtney and I went to a game, and it's a full-fledged production with a night and everything that comes out. I mean, it's like you're watching a Vegas show before you even get to the hockey game. I mean, I'm already happy with what I saw, and now I get to watch hockey.
Yeah. Well, I know they have the Vegas F1 race is going to be there next year, and I'm thinking, Vegas in an F1 race, they will light that thing up. Like, it'll be stuff for days. So it should be interesting. Yeah.
That's a town that has figured it out, right? Now, first of all, they know what they are. They are entertainment capital of the world, right? But if you're going to be that, you got to have sports teams. You got to have more than just gambling.
Yeah.
Because today's consumer, like me, you and I, we're not just all gambling anymore, right? We're just like, hey, no, I got to be entertained somehow. I want to go to a concert. I want to eat nice dinner. I want to go to a sporting event, do other things. So if you're going to be the entertainment capital of the world, you've got to do more to get people to come there.
Yeah. Yeah. I am not a big fan of Vegas. And I tell you, I have not found a good place for beer on the Strip. So it's like every place has beer, not good beer. So
that's true. That's true. What's funny is when I'm in Vegas, I hate to admit this on the radio. I'm going to anyway. I generally get some type of frozen drink at least once while I'm there. Right. I don't know why I like it there, but they've got them all these shops right along the Strip, stuff like that. You just get like a frozen drink. Maybe it's a rum runner, or maybe it's something like that. It just tastes better there. I would never order that here in San Antonio, but I like it in Vegas. I don't know why.
It's a different world there, out of body experience, I think. And last time I was there, I walked by a place and there was Pete Rose sitting there signing autographs. And I just, that's weird.
Should he be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think he should, because as a baseball player, okay, this is my own sort of thing here. He bet on games. I understand all that, but it's amazing that he's not in the Hall of Fame, but people that cheated playing in the games are in the Hall of Fame. That's where it doesn't compete. I'm like, really? He bet, and even bet on his team to win. A little sketchy, but like, you're talking the Mark McGuires of the, like guys that have literally Barry Bonds, and that they cheated in the game and everybody knows. And that to me is,
I don't think they're in the Hall. I don't think McGuire, Bonds, or Sosa is in the Hall.
Well, I'm not sure, but that's only three. I'm just saying there's got to be guys that are in the Hall. Yeah, maybe you're right, but they're not banned from baseball in this. Like, Pete Rose is like the universal villain in baseball, and guys that literally cheated in the games aren't.
And it should have been the opposite. Yeah, he should have got punished or whatever. But he was good for baseball. If there was anybody that was a national, worldwide brand, that a player, Charlie Hustle, you banned Charlie Hustle.
Really, really strange and not delightful at all. I guess we've veered off topic a little bit.
No, that's baseball not delighting customers.
Not delighting customers. Yeah, let's delight them by ruling someone out of baseball, kicking them out.
But that's always all right. So that's always been one of my pet peeves with companies, when they have a policy that doesn't make sense. Right. I don't care if it's like, you can have a dog over there, but not over here, or whatever it is. If it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And COVID was big for that. Like, the rules around COVID are like, that policy just doesn't make sense because you allow it like 2 feet from here.
Yeah.
So we're all in the same place, right? Whatever. So it's,
customers forget that.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, every time I've seen a policy that just doesn't, it violates or contradicts common sense, I just don't like that.
Well, and you talked about, because it confuses the customer and it annoys the customer. And you've seen those, that you've walked into a place or a store and you've got treated crappy as a customer and went, well, I'm never coming back here and I'm taking my money. And like, there's brands that and stores that I have such a bad taste in my mouth where I was just like, no, I never will be back over something that one person did. But if nothing else, it's like, yeah, but that's still probably policy or training or something. And, I'm thinking back to, was it Nordstrom that you were talking about last week that took tires back, even though they weren't a tire shop? Was it Nordstrom? I can't remember which one.
That was Nordstrom, and they
Yeah.
did it just because they had the receipt, the address had the receipt on it. Yeah.
Yeah. So they've gone so far in serving the customer and doing anything for the customer. And it's not like the customer is always right. It's that we want to delight the customer. We want to help the customer. We don't want and there's some brands that do that really, really well. And then there's other ones that, how can they just make the customer's life miserable? That's what you feel like honestly, if people didn't have to travel, you would never go to an airport ever again, because they treat their customers so poorly. I'm like, that would be a great commercial opportunity to go, there's an airport there. I'm going to build one next door. And all I'm going to do is put a sign up and say, we're going to treat you like a human being if you come to our airport. And people would fly there and would probably pay a lot more money to be treated well. So when you see like big brands and stores and that, and they treat their customers like crap, and they, like you said, it's because policies, it's like someone pulls out, we're not allowed to do that. We're not, that to me is like, that's how you kill business and kill brand.
Yeah. I tell you what, we just flew. Okay. So I don't get, the baggage fee policies. I just don't get it. Right. I'm like, some places we'll charge you $35 per bag. Right. Or we'll give you 2 bags free, and then the third one's $35. But if I bring in 1 bag that happens to be more than 50 pounds, I'm charged $75.
Yeah.
Well, if I had 2 bags, it'd be free, but I have 1 bag with less weight than 2 bags. Yeah. Then anyway, I mean, little stuff like that. I'm like, how did they come up with these policies? Now I get that there's a person that has to lift the bag, and there should be a maximum. I'm just saying, hey, listen, no bag could be over this. No bag, right? And
except if they really cared about that, what they would do is say, we're going to charge you $75. We're going to take some of your stuff and put it in this other bag. They don't. They take the money, and someone still has to lift it. So I have trouble believing that they really care about somebody lifting the bag.
Yeah, probably right. So, hey, what'd you learn today? Anything?
It related to the topic, or some of the other stuff? No, it's
still in it. They can clinch.
Yeah, and oh man, we got an opportunity. I think it's going to be a tough game. It won't go that easy, unfortunately, I don't think. But well, fingers crossed. But I think it just reinforces taking a close look at your business, your customers, and figuring out, how do you do more than deliver? How do you do more than solve their problem? How do you take that extra step and delight the customer? And that is a significant step. And that delighting the customer isn't mechanical. You have to know your customer. And I think it has to be human and approachable. And because it's a emotional reaction. It's not a checklist. It's an emotional reaction. So it has to be real and true, I think, to delight somebody.
Well, and I think that's right. And what I liked about your trade show stuff, right, with the flair, the buttons, the pins, the stickers, the shirt, it spoke to the person, right? The person got it. It's like, yeah, this is me, before shit gets real, or cash is queen. It's speaking to that individual, even if it can fit for 1 million individuals. It feels like they're speaking to them, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I stopped calling that type of stuff swag. Ever tell you that? I don't call it swag. I call it spa. So swag is spelled SWAG, right?
Yeah.
And I started calling it spa. I said, if we're going to buy stuff, we're going to buy spa, not swag. So spa is SPAW. And that's stuff people actually want rather than shit we actually get.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And it's true. Like we did the least expensive swag or whatever, but we came up, like, we had fun doing it. And so we had like there were companies there, they were giving away electronics, they're giving away all this stuff, and we would come in with little 1-inch buttons. We had one that robots can't, which was cool too. We had all these little buttons and stuff, and people loved them. And it wasn't the price, it wasn't sort of the value, it's just they just loved it. And that was really cool. That was a good learning experience for us to go, you can't shortcut it, you can't sort of outsource it. It's got to be cool, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal that.
Yeah, do for sure, man. They work great.
Okay, so hey, so thank you for listening to Nobody Told Me with Mike and Blaine. This is episode 41, and guess what? 41 episodes in, Blaine. Nobody, not one person in the world, not anybody that's ever listened to this, has ever bought us a beer.
Yeah. We keep saying it every week. I think it's going to have to get monthly or quarterly at this point, because no one will buy us a beer. You can go to our website, mikeandblaine.com. You can see all of our episodes. You can buy swag for yourself. You can buy us a beer, $5. Go check us out. We got episode 40 episodes there, 41 coming up.
There you go. Hey, great to see you again, my friend. Next week, another exciting episode. So I'm really excited what's coming up. We're coming up on 50 where we wear shirts. So I hope you bought your.
I ordered one. It's on the way. Yeah, I ordered it.
Which one did you get?
I got the one with the logo with the beer, because I just love that one. It's the black shirt with the original beer thing. That I just think that's my favorite. So I ordered it. Yeah,
that's the one I got for you that you left in Scottsdale.
Yeah, so I have it for next winter, but I have to gain a lot of weight to fit into that shirt, because it was an extra large.
That's right. I hadn't met you in person, so I got you a little bit. I got you a Husky guy shirt like me.
Yeah, and then you pointed out when you got there, I'm medium. I'm a medium. I'm a true medium. But yeah, that shirt. I tried it on. I'm like, it's a little big, but it's still there. I'll give it to one of our fans, one of our extra large fans, and got the medium on the order. I was wondering if you would get a notice that said somebody bought a shirt, and then you would come tell me that someone bought a shirt and be like, yeah, I bought a shirt, but guess it didn't. I don't know. It's weird.
When did you do it? I don't think I got a notice.
A couple of days ago, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Well, maybe it went to spam because nobody's done it.
Nobody's done it. Yeah, nobody's done it. So, well, one person just happens to be highly related to the show. So.
That's funny. All right. Hey, thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. And next time, I think we should do something special. What do you want to do? You want to call somebody out? You want to try to have a guest? What do you want to do next time? Anything? Or keep it like this?
Oh, well, let's think on that. We can maybe we'll spice it up somehow next time. We'll come up with something.
All right. So while we're thinking on it, if you have a topic, if you've got something you want to talk about, you got a question, maybe you just want to come in for 5 minutes and tell us about you, put it in our chat. Go to mikeandblaine.com, right down at the bottom of the first page, contact us, put your name, your email address, and what you want to talk about. And let's see if we can't get you on the show. So let's try that. See us on YouTube, see us on mikeandblaine.com. And as always, don't forget to know that nobody tells you things when you start a business.
Absolutely. Looking forward to next week, man.